everybody. How is it going?
Always.
Welcome to the Mind Conquerors ReRoll podcast, where we talk about our past games and just talk about stuff that we like, specifically of the role-playing variety. It is such an exciting day. I do want to start off with a very special announcement. I want to let you guys know that officially today we launched our Patreon, which
Nice.
we need to put a link in our Twitch now that I see that it's not there. I won't be doing that as we're having this conversation. But hey, if you guys go to patreon.com/DivineConquer, you can be part of our adventuring group and join us on Discord and have cool chats, share memes. We'll have BTS videos for people to see that you will only get to see if you're a patron. It won't be anywhere else, not on Twitch or YouTube. And you could also help us build things like NPCs or make character decisions or tell us what game to play next or influence the Let's Plays that we do. It's exciting. So if you like that kind of thing and want to be part of our community, please. Before we go on, do we have any other special announcements? Anything that got dropped today?
Oh, you're specifically talking to me.
I can't see you, so I'm just hoping that it
I was
clicked.
like, wait, oh shoot, we did post something today. Hey guys, if you're part of the Alistair Patreon, Lynn and I just posted our Zesty art for the month of February. So if you want to support the Alistair webcomic, which is a webcomic that's a small passion project that Lynn and I do in our spare time, think about joining our Patreon to support us through this endeavor. We've got a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff that you get. You get early access to the chapters when we post them. And our highest tier, which is our Zesty tier, is all of the art that Lynn and I are too ashamed to put out in public. So we put it in a nice little email and it's sent to you, and only you can see it. So we did our Zesty tier for the month, and the most I will say is it's a West one, at least for me.
Hey, the socks are off, probably.
The sock is I think he forgot his sock this time.
As someone who got to sit next to Vic and watch as you were drawing it, I went, hello, what are you doing?
Very painstaking, I will tell you that.
Yes, I remember you having to look up the reference.
Yes, it was fun. I have to send it to Jesus for quality control.
I need the reference information. I need everything.
All the links for the reference.
Jesus.
How dare you not show
I know, how dare I? You're like my quality control man.
And you've never said no to any of these because they're all beautiful.
Yes.
More to the left, though. But yeah, so the as we're continuing our initiative chairs, we're asking D&C fam a whole bunch of questions, and so you guys get to know us a little bit better. And tonight we have Dickie.
The
Anybody
mastermind.
out there listening wants to add a question or two, feel free to throw in.
Oh yes, please. As we have a conversation and whatnot, please send questions in chat, and we'll throw those at the end. Or if we're having a conversation and you feel that you need to insert something really quickly about that, then please do. This should be an open flow to conversation between us and you, and then
Yes.
Dickie too, because it's kind of
Indeed.
Oh, that's cute. I'm looking at things. So, before we go to the conversation, I guess we'll open up with the per usual of if anyone has any questions towards any of the DMs or any of the games that we played in the last 2 weeks, or if they want to say anything about their characters, any internal struggles, any feelings, any whatnots. I know that currently the Sacred World game has just finished a major arc. This is the second time that they've defeated a council of hags trying to do something first was to eclipse the sun. Second was to put some sort of magical barrier on, or a hex on the moon to permanently cast it in a shade of red. And they're about to travel to Krobasa, meet a couple friends, get some rewards that they haven't picked up, and then head to Absalom. For the Hogwarts prep group, you guys are about to enter the gates of Midian and are tipping ever so closely to facing the necromancer known as Omni.
Yeah. Expecto Patronum. Much harder.
Expecto Patronum much harder.
But much stronger.
Oh my god. That was a beautiful, beautiful ending to the last game as Jeremiah's character, Joseph, casted a beautiful interpretation of Expecto Patronum and defeated a couple of these quote-unquote dire Dementors.
But dire.
Yeah, but dire. That's why you need to cast Expecto Patronum, but much harder.
Much more.
Yeah, but much more. But yeah, before we start interviewing Dickie, do you guys have any questions about any of the games or anything that you want to see if the DM will shake a couple of tidbits here and there?
If
You know,
you're
I
a fan of Oleg, don't get attached.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I like how you mentioned the whole thing about, yeah, we've faced tagged twice. Cole's also been able, apparently, to pull off something twice.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah, and surprise.
Surprise.
I don't know what you're talking about. What's the surprise?
What?
I don't know.
What surprise? I'm
Surprise.
so
Oh,
confused.
no,
Supplies.
aside from Addie and Ragnar having an idea, I kind of brought to light some stuff about Cole.
That he's a very good boy who goes to church constantly?
Sure.
Yes, he goes to church.
Sure.
Anyway, I, for one, am upset because Oleg is my favorite character. How dare you? I was so attached and invested to his story.
Well, if you knew his story, then you know that the direction that the group is going, he can't go.
Yeah, but he's got friends now.
That's the point. I mean,
Well,
there's
what-
nothing saying that you can't communicate with your adventuring party and say
Right.
this is a thing that I have to deal with if I go back there. Do you have my back? That's
All right.
that's another possible plot that could happen.
Oh, is this the whole thing about like going back to Absalom or something like that?
Yep.
Look, I'm not saying Cole's in the same boat, but
Oh, so you have a what's the word?
So we're going to draw a lot of attention that we may regret.
Y'all are gonna have similar problems. Ooh, bonding time with Oleg and Cole.
Cole's literally gonna be just like, okay,
Especially since they're on the right level right now, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the popcorn? I need some.
I mean,
Oleg continues.
I will gladly say roleplay your character as your character will be roleplayed, but
Well,
saying it'll be a good, interesting story instead of being on the run so much. Maybe
we'll see. We'll see what happens because we haven't gotten there yet.
that's true.
We got a long ways to go.
Yeah,
There's a lot of territory between there and there, so we shall see.
gotta go to Absalom. I'm still very concerned with the vision, Jesus.
What vision?
What vision?
Vision of
Wonderment.
Jesus.
Or excuse me, whatever drug-induced thing we got to see with the smallest piece of papaya that he ate.
Oh, I think it's funny that you thought that was drug induced.
Yay! Okay, so vision.
Oh, I didn't. I mean, I don't know why
Oh,
you
yeah.
would thought that would be drug induced.
Oh yeah, Ragnar has a vision too, a very wonderful one.
Ragnar, I think you had a lot of fun, my dude.
And now it's time for trauma.
Now time for
Oh no.
what? Ragnar got visited by a very wonderful 9-foot lady.
Yeah. It's I'm
Oh,
very
Kurt, should I-
excited to see what the next couple of months for the Friday game is. and
Hags.
I'm so hags. Is that what you said?
I said fucking hags.
I mean, maybe, but we'll see. There's you guys didn't kill 2 of the 3 hags, so they're still out there. And you saw
Wherever
what
the hell they ended up because Cole decided to contact his patron.
I will let you know that you doing that made me 100% rewrite what I needed to do.
You love it
So
when that happens.
it's
Only
beautiful.
maybe 100%.
Yeah, my thing is that I don't know where they ended up, and considering who Cole worships, I don't know exactly where they could have ended up.
It's fine. It's fine. This game-breaking thing that happened at Whitestone.
Yeah.
It's
Rock
only
done.
the Supreme Lord of the 9 Hells. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just
He's a
some
punk ass nerd.
Oh, we know, Dis. We know.
Shove him in a locker. That's what the voice in my head told me to do.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It's fine. Ragnar got a gun. We'll be fine.
It's fine. If Asmodeus shows up, Wes is just gonna hear a voice in his head that says, "Take his fucking lunch money."
Take his lunch money and run.
It's like, but where are his pockets? I don't know where he keeps it.
Big ass fucking red coat of his.
It's in his stupid shoe, like a nerd. You can't hide it from me.
Oh man. All right. Any more questions other than just insulting one of the most deadly freaking devils in all of existence?
All
Yeah.
day, every day.
I got a question.
What up, bro? What's up?
What's up? So yeah, Jess here from the Harry Potter game
Mhm.
wants to ask, not to, metagame or whatever, but what are we gonna face in Midian?
You had a very good clue with I will let you on. You had a clue when Beatrice told you that there used to be a couple of very powerful entities that were the origins of magic, and the only one that's left is death.
Okay. So we're gonna fight death. Woo! I'm just kidding.
You need to at least meet death to destroy the Horcrux.
Yeah, hopefully not fight.
I mean, if you want to fight an ancient being,
I don't. I really
bro,
don't.
I got some stats.
Nope.
I
Nope.
mean, the players doesn't know, but the characters doesn't know, but the players know that we can end this whole thing very easily. Just pour that poison and poison.
I mean,
Oh.
But the characters doesn't know, but
information was given.
yeah, or Dumbledore just tell us straight up what to do and that.
Dumbledore will never tell you what straight up to do because J.K. Rowling does not know how to write Dumbledore's character. Therefore, I use that information and put you in danger.
Correct.
Put kids in danger.
You were raised for slaughter at the appropriate time.
Yes, that's Dumbledore.
Yeah.
No,
Neff is not a fan of Dumbledore right now.
Oh,
She's very mad at him. She might Hulk smash.
Well, let's see if
I thought all school principals groom their students to be soldiers of war. for their own.
I have stories, but it might not be the appropriate time to tell those.
Oh no.
Let's just say my principal was not very keen on me listening to Cannibal Corpse, and it was many a times either you pray with me or you're suspended. Like, I don't want to give my mom bad news. Sure, say your dumb prayers. Can I go to school now? Can I go to class now? Do you see my straight A's? Are you just mad because I got straight A's and
Yes.
have a Cannibals t-shirt? Okay, whatever.
Yes. I'm so mad.
Anyway.
But yes, as a transition, hey Dickie, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you, man?
I'm still alive, still kicking, still breathing.
Those are three very positive things.
Yes.
I hope that you continue to do those things for a very, very, very long time. If you ever decide to not do one of those things, let me know, because don't.
No, I got too many. I got too many irons in the fire right now, and too many figures to paint.
Ah, yeah. My friend, whenever this whole thing is not an issue and we can, I really want to have like a painting stream where we just sit down and we just paint.
I very much
And
agree.
Gab.
Like, that would be amazing. I have a lot of minis, a lot of
I know what we
terrain.
can do. I know what we can do.
Hmm.
We could be like, who is it? Bob Fosse, the artist.
Bob
All
Ross?
this- Bob Ross. We all get big froze and we sit around the table and we're all painting figures together.
Ah,
I will
Done
do this.
and done.
I will get a fro so big and luscious.
We have the technology. We can do it. But
Tease that hair.
yes.
Bob Ross Inspirational Hour.
Oh my god, it'll be so amazing. Oh, as I get excited for future shows, we have so many
Yes.
so many
We
ideas.
have so many awesome things coming.
Yeah, as soon as we can like get together and do things, it'll be amazing. But Tabby and Vic, you guys have the first questions.
oh gee.
You have the
Yeah.
first.
Oh, I do have the
I
first
got
question.
the second
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Hey, Dad.
Hey, firstborn.
So, question for you. How different has it been to sit down and play Dungeons and Dragons now versus when you first started playing back in college? Describe
Well,
that
I didn't-
experience.
I actually did not play in college.
You
Actually,
did
I
not?
played after college. After it was
Okay, it was
college.
after college. Got you.
Yeah, my brother's the one that got me into it. The sadly to say, the real main difference between playing then and playing now is that now I'm sober.
Oh,
You know,
Well,
because I mean, we weren't exactly all in a straight frame of mind when we played, except when I was game master. When I was game master, I started off playing, trying to keep up with everybody with altered minds. That didn't work, so I had to say no. I'm on the wagon when I'm running a game. But other than that, that's the main reason. The rules have changed a little bit because now you get to, when I played, it was probably the second or third edition that I was playing, and now we're playing fifth edition.
Yeah.
So because a lot of the things when I've tried to bring back Orc Death and Reefer and all their old weapons, old stuff they had, they quickly got scratched out because either they don't exist anymore in the game or that made them too powerful or something like that. So
yeah.
yeah, Orctet's axe is one of the strongest in the game. That's why I powered it down, so like
That
as you
thing is-
level, it would increase into that status. But it was,
That thing is a damn relic.
yeah.
I mean, I really like that act, especially when you were like telling, like what's happening with Orc Death. It was like, ooh, that's nice. That's a really nice act.
okay,
All right.
all right.
Tabby.
So I guess with that, what made you want to try D&D when it first came out?
Escape. I was going through some tough times during that time, and I just needed to get my mind free of a lot of things that I was dealing with. And it was an opportunity to go into. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I started playing. You know, they always were playing, and they kept inviting me, and I kept, I don't think so. I don't think so. Finally, I had an apartment with a friend of mine, and they decided to have the game there, so I had no place to go. They said, "Come on, we'll take care of you. We'll roll your character. We'll get you into playing." And it didn't take long to get me hooked on the game because, I mean, when I started realizing that it was your imagination and a lot that you're thinking, along with the chances of rolls, the percentage of dice rolling, you know, it wasn't a clear cut and dry thing. There was a lot of gray area between the black and white. So, and you know, the true sense of storytelling, it just gave you another outlook, another way to seeing things. And And I just got hooked because it activated my mind to get more creative when it was really being stagnant and stale.
Nice. That's pretty cool. All right. Since Lynn isn't here, I'll read her 3 questions. First, hey Dickie, if your character survives the very end, Oleg at the moment, what would be the best case scenario for them after the campaign is complete?
Well, it's just like asking us, when we're all finished and done with Dungeons and Dragons, what are we going to do next? We don't know. The future is yet to be determined. First of all, survive to get to that point. Once you get to that point, you have to see where your character's at, whether with riches or has enough money or came in good favor with the kingdom, or just keep on adventuring, go someplace else. Oleg plan right now is to survive. Plus, he holds 2 life debts that he cannot leave until he is finished completing that. And once he's completed the life debts with the group, then he has the option whether he wants to stay or leave.
Mm.
And that's one thing that probably will keep him going to was it Absalon?
Yeah.
Yeah. If he still has those life debts, he's going. But if he's completed those life debts by the time it's time to go there, he will have a decision to make.
Yeah. That's the thing that I love about these games, where it's not just fight this, kill that. It's just you
and predict what you're going to do later. You can't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Also, I just want to interject and say, when we're done with D&D, is that a thing? I don't know.
There's never enough.
Can't take me out of the game.
Actually, there's never end. There's always little nulls that where you kind of have some dead spots. You kind of people move, people change.
Yeah.
The group I used to play with, my brother and his friends, who were all, over half of them were assholes. But it's the only time I could deal with them was when we were playing games. So,
all right.
It actually makes me think of the whole in the end of D&D. Yes, champ, your question will be answered soon. I saw a post a while ago where it was the whole question of if you had a bargain with death by playing a game with him, and the whole it's always going to be stacked against you because death always wins. But somebody came up with a scenario of what if you started a D&D game with death, and so it was just this overarching campaign that spanned for years, and that just prolonged your life because you were keeping death entertained.
That's a pretty cool idea.
And then they finally pack it up, and the game's over, and Death's wait.
That sounds like a Twilight Zone.
Right?
Episode.
Yeah, that's true.
It really does, though.
Oh man, that might be really close to the theme of Dungeon Master, the movie they're going to review on Saturday. Just letting you know. Continue on. Which I think has been touched on several times, but here we go. Because of quarantine, how has playing through the computer affected your role playing for the game?
It has not enhanced it because I think being with a group in the same room has the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of, it's like, if your party that you're with in the game and all your characters are together, they're interacting together. Well, it's the same thing being in a room, playing in a room. The people that you're with in that room, you're interacting with them, and you feel a sense of team, of kinship, stuff like that, that, you're all, gung-ho to do things. Being here online, it's fun, and the tactical is really good. Props to the Dungeon Master.
Oh, thank you.
But, it's not the same. You really like to see the figures, like to see the stuff that comes out, and like to see how Jesus gets artsy fartsy with his, scenarios, grounds, and stuff like that.
You're so amazing.
I will let you guys know that I backed a couple of Kickstarters, when we first got the studio up and running, when we were first putting the backdrops. but it was a Kickstarter, so it was going to take a year or two for the company to fully flesh out. Well, almost all of them came in, so there is quite a bit of more terrain to play with. So I'm so excited for you guys to do it. And then when we have other DMs that are doing stuff, you have literal D&D Lego pieces to play with. It's awesome. Speaking of creativity, can't wait to see what you guys come up with, all these different like little dungeons and mountain terrains and castles and stuff.
And I'll give you a perfect example of what I mean. It's like when we're playing here online and Jeremiah says, well, Ragnar's going to fly over here, or Ariel says he's going to fly over there. But we're getting a bird's eye view of the situation. So we really can't tell you're flying or not. But at the table, you got those little risers that you can put them at so much height above the ground. That gives you more of a tactical, more of a 3D look that you can, get a more of a sense of the situation the way it is. Right now, when the guys say they're up in the air, so, it's like, okay, I think you're up in the air. Yeah. But it's one thing about hearing it, another thing about seeing it.
Yeah, no, it's. I love theater of the mind, but there's something that I got hooked the first time I saw terrain. I'm like, oh, this enhances the game a lot.
Yeah, I get what Dickie was saying with that, because I remember on the Wednesday game last week when I was trying to be tactical, healing the whole party. It was like, oh yeah, they're all the way out there because they're flying. They're not on the ground. They're not just 25 feet away from me. They're up in the air, so they're like 55 feet away from me and stuff. Even though I read the spell wrong.
Yep. It happened. But yeah. Next question for Lynn is what is the most intense moment your character has experienced in a game that actually has affected you in real life? I wouldn't want to like hold that to just like this campaign. Just expand it to any character that you've ever played that like, oh my god, this has affected you.
I think when I was a teacher, I was trying to get these games off the ground as a teacher because that was the only thing that interested me about teaching, because I hated teaching. And so I brought all my games and I tried to get the kids involved, try to get them to use their imagination. And, I remember I had a bunch of sixth graders and I was doing Boot Hill Cowboys one, and they were all trying to go through a scenario, but the kids on the way out of class were arguing, well, my character's better than yours. Well, my character's got a gun. He's going to shoot you. And I'm like, oh, shit, don't say that out loud where other people hear that. But, I never had anything really affect me, because one thing I always taught the kids, I said, if you're going to play this game, you have to understand this is not you. This is a character, okay? Mm-hmm. That you have to understand that you can't think that it's you, because it's not you. It's just a character that you're portraying, like an actor or whatever. So I guess I instilled that in the kids so much that it kind of instilled into myself that I never really feel like it's about me in the game. So that never really affects me. I really don't feel like, I feel more of a sense of pride when things go right. Like when Reaper beat the spider, mechanical spider.
Oh, yeah.
When Orc Death burned the hill giant in the tower. Yeah. I do get those senses of accomplishment that really feel good and stuff like that. But anything negative, intense, the only thing I'm probably thinking about the most intense situation, it was basically, if it's going to be intense, that means it's not going in your favor. And I would have to say that it was Reefer's last moments on his earth before he turned into stone.
Oh, yeah. That was
because, other than that, I never had a situation that I can remember playing now and playing way back then that I felt like it was, intense.
Okay. I get. It's really cool to hear that. Just because I feel like I'm getting more into how you think and how you play these games, because there's only so much like somebody can grasp from just seeing the players play.
Don't forget, I've been down this road a lot longer than you guys all added together.
Yeah, that's true. So, that's very true.
It's with time and experience, you'll all get there. You'll understand what I mean.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because I know that a lot of role playing tips and here's a couple things to improve your game. A lot of them bank on the whole don't say my character, say I'm doing this to put you more into the situation. So the fact that you for a long time are teaching your students the separation of that is it's really cool.
And notice whenever you ask me what my character is doing, I always say he.
Yeah,
I never say I'm going to do this.
that's true. Which is just it shows you that it's a lot of things you can do at the table, and a lot of different views for the same game can come in and coexist and make a really cool story out of it.
And that's one thing. Like when Reefer got turned into stone, and I told you, don't worry about it. We're making a story. Go with the story. The story's more important than the character. And I always believe that that it's not the Reefer show,
Yeah.
or things like that. I've seen people play that think it's all about them.
Yeah.
And probably the biggest one I ever saw was the one that Firstborn was trying to run the game, and the guy's husband was just acting like a complete dick.
Oh my god!
And that just, I wanted to kill the character before I killed him. I wanted to go there and reach over and break his small miniature, just crush him up. He's not alive anymore. Go on, do something else.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's not about one person.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that we have in our little house rules or whatever, the table banners is don't be an asshole character. If the character doesn't fit with the group, you built a bad character. Go make a new one.
And I'll throw this out there too. And I don't know, we're kind of going off topic of the question, stuff like that. But there's people I remember I saw that fandom thing on YouTube about why people play D&D. They had this reporter do an investigative report and stuff like that. And they were talking about, well, I've had a cleric for over 30 years now. Well, I've had this. It's why do you want to be just one character? I think, D&D is so colorful and so many options. Be all the characters you can be. I've been a barbarian. I've been a dwarf. Now I'm a half-elf, half-orc. I got a whole box full of characters from way back when. That's why, when I told you after I had the two characters, I couldn't keep one. It wouldn't have made sense for one of them to stay.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have gone along with the storyline, so I had to get rid of both of them. So that's why I asked you, what do you need in this story to make it work? What do you need to make it more colorful? And you said, well, half-orc wouldn't hurt. I said, okay, I got one. So I went in there. I pulled out the file. I had about 4 or 5 of them to choose from. And I literally rolled the dice to see who it was going to be.
The fact that it was Oleg, based on the stories that the DM knows and the character that we've been sharing, it's really amazing that the roll of the dice was Oleg.
And don't forget, I'm also adding on to his backstory because I'm going back to watching all the videos that we made of Oleg, and I got a notebook and I'm keeping the episode number and what he did. I forgot about that. I pushed Ragnar out of the way the first time they met, and I told him to stay down, and he says, well, I'm a dwarf, I'm always down. So so it was
yeah.
I'm remembering these things, so I'm adding it to my notebook, and I'm going to turn around and put it all in the backstory. Just fill that thing up.
That's amazing. I love that. I really do.
I recommend everybody do the same thing. Go back to your character's first adventure, start watching it, and write down the little moments that happen on each episode. Put it in your backstory.
Yeah, not just the one time you guys did mushrooms in a cave. Other episodes.
Excuse me, I very vividly remember the first live session with West, and he had a spider the size of a dog attack his face. I remember that.
Nope.
That's true.
Nope.
Don't worry, Jess.
It was West and it was Ariel, and there was not a single goddamn brain cell between the three of them in a room. As we were looking at a corpse on the ground, we were like, "Why is it moving?" And then all of a sudden, it jumps out and attacks West in the face. And I'm like, "Oh,
Oriel
good
wasn't
start."
Yeah,
I
Ariel
will
was there.
tell you, Oleg did enjoy hunting down Ariel too.
I think that's the happiest we've ever seen Oleg.
I think
The dagger in the butt was the best. That was just.
That suggestion was real. Oh, that was the. Sure, yeah, suggestion.
It's like, wow, that suggestion spell really did a number on you. Suggestion spell.
I thought this was just what we're doing now. Oh, lovely. Hey, Jeremiah, you have a question.
I have a question. Okay, my question is basically like, I have one question for everybody. So, looking at Oleg or Orcdeath or Reaper, if you can think of a different race for them or class, what would it be?
Well, so if I could think of a different class or race for Reaper, Orcdeath, or Oleg,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't, because the race they are, the class they are, is what makes them who they are.
Okay.
Do you imagine Orcdeath as a barbarian or half, it'd have been a totally different character. Orcdeath was a drunken dwarf that had to drink to keep his mind sane because he used to be human and was turned into a dwarf when he found that axe. So he had visions. Remember, Jesus always says, you see somebody's head chopped off, you see this first, you always have these visions.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to drink to keep his sanity.
Yeah.
Reaper was just a backwoods barbarian, didn't give a shit about anything. He was going to take out whatever he can. He fathered all these children. It's rumored Wes might be one of them. Oleg might be one of them. We don't know. Because there's no DNA test back in those days.
That's true. You don't know.
We don't know. You can only speculate. So I don't know. I can't do that. I can't see them as anything else.
Yeah, I think I remember saying, well, like, no changes is also a good answer because,
could you imagine Carabao being a different race or different something, or Ragnar being anything but a dwarf?
Like, not gonna lie to you, Carabao was actually originally a half-elf female, and then when I created him in DNC, he became a high-elf male. When I first created him. Then, but also Carabao, the original Carabao was just a pure assassin rogue, and DNC became artificer rogue.
I will tell you that Reaper did tone it down quite a bit from the way back then days to now, because back then whoever he killed any orcs or anything like that, he would cut off the man's private parts and stuff it in their mouth on the dead bodies as he, just kind of leave it as a signature. Let people know that he was there.
Yeah,
so he kind of toned it down a little.
It's probably good for stream.
What?
Yeah, that's probably good. That's hilarious. All right. This next one's for me. It's kind of one question, but divided into two. Which is how do you GM or DM your games? Because from my perspective, which please always correct me if I'm wrong, I feel that at times you want to lessen the character RP and to focus more on the DM story, like the bigger picture. So, like, with that, how do you conduct your style of gaming?
Well, it's kind of like look at your situation. Which is more important, the DM story, setting things up, making things go in motion, or the character's arc on what happens? The characters are always the prisoner to the dice. They're pretty much, their fate relies on the dice, and also sometimes their decision. When I'm DM, I like the players to play the game and figure out what they're doing, but sometimes they get stale and they stall and stagnant and they don't know what to do, so you have to kind of nudge them a little bit, try to make them figure out which way to go and everything. I like free will. I like the people playing the game make the decision what's going on. I don't like them asking me what should they do. I just look at them, because I tell them this way, like when we play Gamma World and I'm running the game, I tell them I'm the Gamma God. I'm the God. I'm just God. I don't take sides. I just create an environment for you and tell you what's going on. You tell me what's going on, and then we see what the dice says. I have no control over that. And then I also give them a chance, like if their character dies, I always tell them, that's why I always give characters, each character, they roll. I roll a dice. They don't know it right. It's a 4-sided dice plus 1, and I call it luck points. And if they're going to die or something happens to them, I say, do you want to use one of your luck points? And they say, yes, I do. And I say, okay, tell me how you got out of this one.
Huh.
I don't say it. They have to tell me, and it's got to be good enough to say, okay. And then you kind of erase that luck point. And then somewhere down the line, it happens again. They say, well, I want to use a luck point. I say, you're out of luck, dude. So that's it. So,
That's it. No
so
more
then, so they got one last chance to stay alive. And that's they have to roll against the Gamma God. They roll a 6-sided dice. I roll a 6-sided dice. All they have to do is tie or beat me. If they tie or beat me, they live. If I beat them, they're gone.
Huh.
So I give people many opportunities to stay alive, but it's just not always the easiest thing to stay alive.
I like that. That's a really cool house rule. I like that a lot. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Especially when you tell the character, was like, okay, well, you're gonna expend that luck point. Now explain to me how that happened.
How did it happen? I had one person say that got
Good enough.
got shot by a laser beam or something like that, and they said I want to use a luck point. I said, okay, how'd you get out of that? He goes, one of the henchmen that was attacking me stumbled and got into the line of fire, and he took the blast instead of me. Okay, that's good enough for me. We work with that.
Okay.
Let them use their imagination.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can color it up for them or something like that if it goes along with the story. Now, one thing I also did, and I also do, how you make sure everybody's always at the same level. So everybody gets the same amount of points and everybody, raises in level at the same time. I don't do that. In Gamma World, your character starts off, I'll let you roll for how much gold pieces you have. I let you roll a 8-sided dice to see how many pieces of equipment you got. Let you roll a 4-sided dice, see how many weapons you got. Then I let you roll on the equipment list that I got and a weapons list. Weapons list is over 1,000 weapons I got on there. Each weapon has a cost to where, so many points. And then I add those points to your experience points. If you happen to kill somebody or something, you get those hit points of who you killed. If it was a group together, then you split it evenly.
Yeah.
And then there's some weapons that are called rank. And rank means you automatically go up to the next level. So every time you move up in level, I made this list out that says you get to you can add a point or two to any of your attributes. You have skills, and you get to roll a percentage dice how good you are in those skills, which you have to roll for.
Yeah.
And you could add some points to that. Different things. So I like making the characters more full and colorful and things like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I do like that. It's different, and different is gives different.
It's a little bit more, but it's a little bit more work for the DM too.
I can tell.
At the table with everybody else, but when you do it at the table with everybody there and everybody else is adding up too, it's a little easier.
All right, that sounds cool. I can't wait to play in the gaming world. I've been very curious for a number of years, so one of these days it's gonna happen. Hey Jess, you got a couple of questions.
I do. Okay. My first question, what would Oleg putting his best forward consist of? What would that look like?
Putting his best forward, in other words, his strongest effort.
Yeah. Well, his best foot forward, So, what would it look like for him to...
For him, it'd look good. Whoever he's fighting would look very good. It wouldn't be pretty at all.
Well, what about if you weren't fighting? Like, if you were trying to make a good impression or something?
He's a half-orc. He's going to try to make impressions on people? I don't think so. He's not going to care about that.
Fair
Because first
enough.
of all,
Oleg
because
said
you got to understand, he's already being uh, uh, not hit on, but basically judged by racists. Since he's a half orc, he's already a minority. He's already feared. He's already misunderstood. So he knows that he doesn't have to impress anybody, except a mate, which he has not met one yet.
Right.
He hasn't met anybody that he wants to impress. He wants to impress the people that employ him. He used to be an assassin, and that went bad. So now he's just a mercenary for hire. Mm-hmm. And that's where he met this group at Whitestone. He was hired by Whitestone to help with the war and stuff like that.
Right.
So he, putting his best foot forward is pissing him off and having to deal with it.
That's fair.
Because he does not like to be bested at all. But he's pretty aloof. He's not exactly warm and fuzzy with the group.
Yeah.
I think last time him and Cole had I wouldn't call it a falling out, but I wouldn't call it a joyous occasion either. But he follows his own path. But right now, as he owes 2 life debts, he's pretty much staying with the group.
Right. Okay. Well, my next question is, how do you make up a character in your mind? What is the first thing that you usually think of when you're making up a character?
Backstory first. Some of these games, and some of them I've made, that you can figure out what kind of family they came on, what's the family history, if they had family tragedy. You can kind of build up on their background a little bit. And then you kind of see, whenever you're playing in a group, how would he fit in this group? You really don't want him to be just like everybody else. He's got to be a little different. So that makes him stand out a little bit more.
Right.
I mean, it's like your character in Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
What character in that game is your character like?
Oh, okay.
Like anybody else? Or are you pretty much different?
Pretty different.
There you go.
Maybe.
So you got to have something that makes you stand out a little bit more.
Yeah. Maybe some Hagrid, but that's about it.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't, a lot of it just comes natural, just figure out what works. And
Right.
I remember, I'm going to share this. I don't know if Jesus wants to share, but a little while ago, somebody said something to him, and he wrote me about it. Like, hey, some people are a little concerned about you, the way you're playing. You're not talking. You seem disinterested. You seem aloof, stuff like that. And I had to explain to him, I'm playing the character. Now, Orgdeath doesn't talk a lot. He's not warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
But when I had Orgdeath, he wouldn't shut up. He was constantly talking. He was constantly drinking. He was constantly getting in trouble, starting barroom fights with West and things like that. He was always in the middle of it. And Reefer was just kind of Reefer. He was just kind of there. You only noticed him when the battle began. But other than that, he wasn't very noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
So every character is different. And I think when you play your character, you got to play it differently than you did any other character. Else basically you're playing the same character that sounds the same every time you do it.
Absolutely. I totally get that. Awesome. Okay. So either this question could be either for you, Dickie, or for any one of your characters.
Okay.
Which celebrity would you want as your best friend forever, and why? So
Celebrity?
Who do you think? Yeah. Which celebrity,
Oh my God.
could be whoever you think.
Wow. That's a question you just don't come right off the top of your head with.
I know, right?
I have a
figure
hard
it's a
time.
good one to get to know each other
I
with.
mean, if you'd asked me that 20, 25 years ago, I'd have picked a sports figure. Geez. Oh, I know who I would like to have been, a celebrity to get to know or be his friend, stuff like that. That'd have been Stan Lee. But
Oh yeah.
It's a good pick. It's a very good pick.
But other than that, I can't think of anybody else. Any
Yeah,
actors? Well, it depends on what show you're talking about.
celeb, dead or alive, whoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Stanley's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
And when I played ball down in Puerto Rico, I mean, we had celebrities hang out with us sometimes. There was, I don't know if you know the name Marvin Hagler, who he was. He was a boxer, world champion, and stuff like that. And one time he came out on the floor at halftime, started shooting baskets with us. And I didn't know who he was until somebody pointed, "That's Marvin Hagler, dude." He took off his shirt, he's all ripped and stuff like that. He was a little guy. He's this little tiny boxer, but he kept beating everybody up. But, when you're with a celebrity and stuff like that, you try not to make them feel like a celebrity, because most of them don't want to be treated like a celebrity. They just want to be treated like a normal person.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Jess.
You want me to?
I was gonna say, since this is your sister and she's not currently here, do you want to take the next couple of questions as well?
Absolutely.
Cool.
So Lee had a couple questions. Her first one is, what is your darkest secret for your character? Whatever secret you feel comfortable with.
Darkest secret for Mike Oleg right now?
Uh-huh.
His darkest secret would be that he used to be an assassin, and he got kicked out of the cult. He half quit and half got kicked out, but he also got framed for the murder of the leader's son, and that's the reason why the cult is after him.
Maybe the one that he actually killed, but
Yeah.
I was framed for murder. I killed him.
And you ever see his picture? You ever notice his picture? His right arm has a big burn scar on it because he used to have a white scorpion tattoo on it that basically symbolized the cult that he was with. So he basically burned that off. And if you can notice on his forearm, he does have the white tail of the scorpion on there still.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All those details that the artist put in there.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Firstborn's art.
Yeah.
Okay. Lee's next question is, what motivates you to fight on even against insurmountable odds?
You have a choice.
Oh?
In life, you always have a choice. You can lay down and die, or you can go out fighting.
Oh, yes.
Oleg's the type, he's not going to give it up. You're going to have to kill him.
That's
if you want him dead, you have to kill him, because he's not going to lay there and die.
Nice.
All
right.
Never gonna let you know. What?
Oh no.
Did
he just rickroll us?
I have the tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear the half of it, so I was like, never. Okay. So, Lee's last question is, what do you do, Dickie, to cheer yourself up when you're having a bad day?
I really hadn't had a bad day in a while. Because if anything happens that doesn't work my way, I had an old Puerto Rican mother that taught me the best thing in life I've ever learned in life. She told me that for every problem, there's a solution. So if you don't have a cure for your problem right then and there, why worry about it? Eventually one's going to show up. So if you can't control it, you can't do anything about it at that moment, let it go. Just don't bother with it and wait till the time is right that you can deal with it.
It's pretty good philosophy right there.
Yeah. It's awesome. Wow. I'll just have to look at things differently now.
There you go.
All my problems are solved.
All my problems have been solved.
And you were taught by a half-orc too, so hey.
Oh.
There you go. This next one is from Ryan. So, as long as you play D&D, were there any characters in your campaign over the years that you butted head with, or any unexpected alliances?
Well, originally when I started playing, the guy that was playing Orc Death's character, we butted heads a lot because in real life we really didn't like each other. You know, he was my brother's best friend, but you know, he was a dick to me, and so we were, you know, we'd always be doing stuff getting into each other. But somehow during the course of the game, when we started realizing that my barbarian and his dwarf were really working good together, then we decided to form a friendship among the characters, to where even after they retired, they went into business together and stuff like that. So
That's pretty cool.
and then his character Reefer decided to retire. King gave him a castle and gave him an orc woman, a fighter woman, and an elven woman, and he fathered children from them. Which he ended up being a bad father because the human fighter woman ended up running away with the baby, getting out of him, away from him as far as possible. The orc woman, the son that she had was sent to a military school to learn how to fight. And the elven woman had a daughter, which he wanted to have a spell put on his sword that only his blood can touch it. Because anybody else touch it, their arm would go numb and they'd drop the sword. So he had to give his newborn elven daughter to a magical wizard in order to get the spell done, thus making him the most wanted person with elves. That's why when he would play, he'd always tell elves that he's dealing with, "Do you recognize me? Do you know who I am?" And if they say no, okay, cool.
Like,
if they said yes, we never got to a yes.
Not really to metagame or anything. Is this where that blood infusion that Ragnar found out about?
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ragnar was taught by an elven woman.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Rafanis just learned a very important infusion, and she just wanted to get closer to Ragnar, another artificer. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't forget, the age of West and the age of her were different.
Mm-hmm.
I believe West was much older than her. She was very young. She was young.
She looked very young, but it's also she has elven blood in her, so that kind of does help her look younger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have no idea what you're talking about, Jeremiah. So moving on to Colton's question. Does Oleg have any traumatic life experiences? Which I think we've heard them all.
Pretty much covered that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he grew up in a military school, and he didn't like it, so he broke out and ran away. And he was caught a couple of times taken back, so finally he ended up breaking out and taking off on his own. That's why he went all the way south and ran into the people of the cult, and basically they trained him when he was young.
Nice. Yeah, man.
Can I just say?
Yes, what's up?
How ambitious Reefer was for a full-blooded orc woman.
He was impressed the way they fought.
Valid.
Hey, beauty is
He saw an
subjective.
8-foot tall woman and went, yes.
I mean, if I see an 8-foot tall woman with them hips, I'm like, yes. I mean, hey.
Reefer's not the one that's going to stand in front of a painting and be in awe of it. Like, oh, that's I love the colors, stuff like that. No, that's not Reefer. He was more impressed in his way in battle, how they would fight. And he killed a lot of them. So.
Have you seen the trailer for Resident Evil?
Oh my god.
Oh, yes. Speaking of tall women that are in charge. Oh man! Oh, that's a lot of amazing information. I'm so glad that we did this, and maybe now our Friday players have a little bit more insight on Oleg, which is pretty cool. We still got some time here, so let's throw those questions out there. Anything that has inspired you guys, or anything from the conversations that we just had that you want to ask Dickie?
I'm trying to pull up some questions I can use. Hey, Champ, do you have a question?
Champ has definitely the question.
Do you have a question?
I think Gamma World is the game that you've played that you've GM'd the most. Is that true?
It is. It was the game that I GM the most. Also, it's the game that I really pretty much, I don't know if the word study that you want to use, but I rolled extra characters and I really read everything I could on it. And basically it's the basis of the books that I've written. So
that's really cool.
That's right. Tell us about your books.
Yeah, please.
Well, I'm fixing to get published. I'm working on it. I'm about to hire somebody to do a book cover for me. And then I have to get a website. I have to get an account on Twitter. I have to get an account on Instagram. I got to get an account on Facebook. I got to get my own P.O. box. I have to write Library of Congress and get a copyright on my books. I have to write and get the ISBN for 2 numbers, for one for the ebook and one for the paperback. I tell you what, it's overwhelming, the things you got to do to get a book out there.
It sounds like it. Oh my God.
The first book, when I first started writing this, I told the story about, when I used to run Dungeons and Dragons and I couldn't run it anymore because all the teachers thought, or the principals thought it was evil and you couldn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they said, if you have another game, and I just so happened to have Gamma World. So they said, run with that. So I ran with the class with that. And I mean, it was just so successful. And then I just started to keep taking notes of each character, what happened during the day. And then after a while, I started noticing that I've got something here I can work with, So I started writing, putting it together, writing a story, trying to make, the parts that weren't connected. I was trying to connect them all together. And I wrote it. And the first time I gave it to somebody to edit, I mean, they took a red pen and looked like Jack the Ripper's victim. Boy, there was so much red all over it. I just almost quit. I almost cried. And I said, I ain't doing this. This is ridiculous. But I kept at it. And I went to a writer's block. So the first writer's block I went to was at Barnes & Noble. And we only could bring 6 pages, which basically you painstakingly go through the chapter, once a month, bringing 6 pages.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous. So anyway, Barnes & Noble shut us down that. And then I found another group that everybody brought a chapter, but since I was a new guy, I was always the last one. And 9 times out of 10, we didn't have time for my chapter. So I quit them. Then me and Firstborn found a group that would eat at Madeline's. And you talk about the most misfit of society you've ever met in your life. It was, I mean, you could do a sitcom on these people. They were ridiculous. There was a guy that's been writing a story for over 20 years and still doesn't know who the antagonist and protagonist is of his story.
Wow.
People asking me, well, how does it end? It's like, Christmas, wait till Christmas to open your package. Wait till you get to the end to find out how it ends. And then there was this lady that she swore that she could write music, and she was writing baseball songs and she would sing them. It was the most painful thing you could ever imagine dealing with.
She wasn't a singer.
To the point I had to say, hey, I got an idea. You should write poems about baseball. So she ended up doing that and saving us from singing anymore after that.
Yeah.
You did a service that day.
Yeah, that didn't last very long. So then, I just didn't have anybody to deal with. I kept trying to get people to read my story, tell me what they thought about it. And so I was about ready to give up. And so I asked this librarian, this place that I taught, I was the athletic director there, and I asked her, can you edit my story? She says, I ain't editing shit. I ain't doing that. I said, well, can you read it then? She goes, yeah, sure, I'll read it. So I put 3 chapters on her desk, and I passed by her desk for 3 days, and they were still in the same spot. So finally I said, she ain't going to read them. Oh, well, just, hang it up. Just don't do this anymore. So I had to be there early the next morning to go throw some football uniforms in the washing machine. So I was one of the first people at school, and I walked back to my classroom. My classroom was all the way in the back of the school, and the librarian was there clutching the folders. She's saying, shit, I need more of this. I'm like, really? She said, yeah, I like it. I want to read more. So then, I mean, you talk about the floodgates opening. I was cranking out stories left to right. I mean, I'm practically finished writing that book there. And I didn't know how I wanted it to end. So I said, well, I wanted to add, what happened before, So I started writing about that, and I added it at the end of the book. I was going to try to say, this is what happened that caused everything to happen. He says, you know what? You should put that in front of the book. So for the longest time, I had 2 stories in one book that basically started at the beginning, and then I kind of interacted in between. And so then I met Dawn, who I consider is my boss. She's my mentor. She's the one who's really been working with me. She's the one whose book I keep pushing you guys, telling you that, which, by the way, I got her 4th book of her Bonded series, which I helped edited. And she just, me and Firstborn went to her writer's block, which probably was the best one ever. Because you get to bring 20 pages, and you had to put your 20 pages into the website.
Yeah, because they have to read beforehand.
So everybody, when you go there, everybody would have read it, would have copied it, put all the corrections, everything, their ideas on it. So when you sat down, it was your turn. You had about 10 people go over your story with you.
That's pretty.
And then at the end, they would hand them to you. So you had to stack of 20 pages per page, 10 packs of 20 pages of all these corrections. So I would take one clean one that I'd have at home, and then I'd write everybody's suggestion on there and go back and change it. And it was great. And then Dawn decided she was moving to New York. She left New York, and everything went to hell in a handbasket after that. So we ended up quitting that group. Dawn ended up moving back. She moved back. She lives in New Braunfels now. And we were talking, we got to talking again and stuff like that. And then she has a writer's Zoom that she has Wednesday night that I go to. We sit down and talk about writing and all this stuff. And she says, how's your story coming along? And I said, well, I'm finished with the first one, or I'm finished with it. I'm ready, but I don't know what to do with it. And she said, is it still with the 2 stories in it? I go, yeah. She goes, why don't you break them up and make 2 books out of it? I went, okay, great idea. So now I got 2 books already written. So the first one really is my book. I wrote it because it's totally different. The only things that were in there are parts that I took out of Top Secret game, the secret agent game, that I could put in there. And the second part is part of the Gamma world that that I played with the kids. And then the second book is strictly the Gamma world, totally the Gamma world of that, and that's going to connect. The two books are going to connect at the end of the second book or beginning of the third book.
Okay.
But that, since I was writing it, I just absorbed all the information I could on Gamma World. Yeah. And I just like the pretext of it that, if you read everybody's idea of Gamma World, it's everybody has a different idea. One guy really stood out to me that when I was writing it, and I was writing about a character, his name was Semper Fi. He's a scientist, was brilliant with a family and all this stuff. Now he's insane, and he thinks a thermonuclear bomb is his wife. And he, I told the story about how his traumatic situation had happened, and how his house blew up. Robots were attacking with missiles, and his house blew up, and he was the only one that survived it. But he was thinking his family was gone somewhere else. And I was talking how all the soot on his face, and the guy says, you know what? You're writing about the future, and here you're talking about people being dirty. I like that. Because usually when you talking about the future, it's all clean and sparkly and everything's all nice. But this gives you a totally different perspective. So I kind of said, never really thought of it that way, but it's nice that somebody did.
Yeah. So it would be like a, so what's like the theme of the book? It's a dystopian future?
It's like world after dystopia, right?
Let's put it this way. The first chapter's name is Last Day of Civilization.
Okay.
And it starts with the downfall of civilization at that point. And basically, it's in the White House, downstairs. They had the Joint Chief out in the cabinet and stuff like that. And they know about the mutants. They don't know how they got there and stuff like that. And that it starts off with a nuclear bomb exploding in Antarctica. And they said, well, why would somebody use a nuclear bomb? Those things are old. Who used that kind of stuff? Because in the time that they're at, they use laser nukes, which basically is a nuclear bomb that explodes and sends out these laser beams. And in about, so much radius, it just totally wipes everything out. So then they found out that there was a mutant base down there that was building something that they don't know what they were building. And so ended up finding out that they were building submergible icebergs that able to shoot off nuclear dirty bombs around the world. So they tried to do something about it. And also there was a Guardian type satellite in space that always pointed towards asteroids. And if any asteroids came towards it, it was going to shoot nukes at it, the laser nukes at it. Well, the mutants also created a artificial intelligence virus that basically caused all machines to turn against man, kind of like Skynet.
Mm-hmm.
And basically turned the satellites around and started raining nukes down on Earth. So the Secretary of State kind of had an idea what was going to happen. So his brother worked for, which is now called the New England Institute of Technology. Instead of MIT, it was NEIT. And he built a underground bunker in the driftless area between Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, another state, I can't remember what it is. And he built this underground bunker with an electro-neutron force field that was able to withstand anything. So, and then he was also planning on having all the gold and jewels to be sent there too, so they could use that as cash when they got out. The original plan was the half-life of the nuclear explosions and fallout would last about 15 years. So they figured if they stay underground and survive for 15 years, then they can come back on the surface. But the mutants gave them a curveball and gave them a nuclear fallout, that they cannot step foot on the surface until 900 years later.
Huh.
So now they have to figure out, how are we going to do that? Is that possible? Are we going to die down here? Well, the brother of the Secretary of State had an idea, but like everything else, there was a consequence to what they had to do in order to stay alive that long. So, and then the first book is about the underground, and then how the military tried to take over. And he also kidnapped the president. The president wasn't supposed to come along, but he brought the president with him anyway because he needed his retina scan, his fingerprints, for all types of computers that can be opened from the president. Because once nuclear war happens, everything shuts down. So he brought him along. And so there was a big battle for getting control of underground. And after that was all said and done, and besides, they were fine. Everything was going according to plan, and they were flying back to this underground base until, and then in order for him to communicate with his brother, he had to use a Bluetooth in his ear.
Yeah.
He says, "Why use this old technology?" I said, "Because Juggernaut, who was a big AI virus, wouldn't pick up the frequency because it was archaic. So they used that. So everything was fine. They were flying back to the place, and then somebody made a phone call outside the base, and Juggernaut found them. So he sent everything that was robotic to them. So the plane crashed on the way there. A bunch of Marines, which were called the Sigma Marines, were killed. So when it was all said and done, there were supposed to be over 500 people underground. Ended up being about 100 people. And they said, well, okay, we got enough food, we can live, stuff like that. But then how to figure out the next part. And then they had to keep a secret from the military, because if the military found out, they would kill everybody and take over.
Whoops.
So eventually they end up fighting and taking over. The military was defeated because one guy, the leader of the Marines, was a real dick. And so they defeated them. And the Secretary of State, well, the major ended up killing the president because he said he was going to give him a fatal impeachment. And he did. So the Secretary of State was dying of cancer. He found out he had cancer at the time they were trying to fight to gain control. And so when everything was said and done, his brain was taken out and placed in a platform and kept alive for 900 years. Everybody else that was going to live for 900 years had to give up their body, and their brain had to be put inside a robot. And they had to try to find the DNA of somebody of the descendant in the future. And then they could put the brain inside them, and they could live a normal life. So, but they didn't know what to expect when they got there. So they found out they hated mutants because mutants destroyed the world. And then when they found out that mutants and humans were coexisting together, that pissed them off even more. So yeah, so we get to
Man,
that.
that's a lot, my dude. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Oh, I am so hooked. I'm interested.
I'm gonna. I've already picked an artist. Let me see if I can put on here.
I mean, yeah, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, let me put the picture on there. That
I would read it.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's really cool. That's very intriguing.
where am I? Here, and bang, and bang.
Everybody gets
Okay,
it.
this. Wait, I put it in the wrong one. My bad. I was in the wrong area. Let me put it in
That's
order.
cool.
Wrong
We can see it. Oh, okay. Oh, I
No, I
wish
put
the chat could see it at the moment.
Here it is. There, put it in there. Bang. All right. So this is the artist that, and the thing about it is, it was like 6 degrees separation. That when she made this cover, it deals with. It's called the mech soldier, and the robot doesn't look like what's on here, but the color blue. Whenever they open up the protective shield of the brain, blue light comes out of it because they're submerged into a blue steroid oxygen-rich solution to keep them alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna be hiring her tomorrow. And then you guys ever hear of Fever?
No.
Fiverr. It's a place where, Firstborn, you might want to look into this. You can, if you go to it, you can get anybody you want to work for you, and a lot of them work dirt cheap because they're trying to build up their portfolios, and it's all over the world. Because when I put the listing for it that I needed an artist for science fiction, 12 hours later I had over 50 requests, offers for it.
Wow.
So I had to weed through it and try to eliminate the ones that had nothing to do with science fiction or anything like that. So I got down to 5. Then I asked them to send me some samples. For some strange reason, the girls were better than the boys because the girls got them to me ASAP. Like they had them and they gave them to me. The guys were kind of like, "Oh, what kind you want? What's the name of your story? What's the name of the author? We can make one right now." I'm like, well, these people are more prepared. And what got me was that this person I'm going to hire was not in the original 5. And when I went back to write them, more people jumped on. I'm getting people every day asking, "Hey, I'd like to do it," and stuff like that. And some of them charge anywhere like $300.
The visual podcast. I'm
The
placing
book cover,
the image.
yeah. Mm-hmm. And the book cover. And so she was on there, and I put my budget was $10. They go as low as $5 on some of these, and some they do $10 or whatever. So I put $10 budget, and she came on and offered $15. So I read her portfolio. I saw she did science fiction, and I said, okay. I said, then I noticed something, that her payment, that she requests $175 per pop. And when I looked back on her bid with me, it was $15. And I went, okay, there might be something's going wrong here, So I wrote her and I said, look, I'm a little confused here, but you offered $15 and I noticed that you normally do $175. I said, I'm a little confused by that. What's the story behind this? And she wrote me back. She goes, I make all my money off of labels, So, I miss doing book covers. So I'm willing to do yours for $15. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
okay. So I'm getting an experienced person for, I'm probably going to pay more than that. I'm probably going to pay about $30 or $40 for it because I'm pretty sure she's going to do good work.
Yeah. That's still really awesome for the price.
And the thing is, write this down, Firstborn. You ready?
Okay.
FIVERR.
Okay.
.com.
.com.
And then you can go to that and check it out. And you can put yourself on there in case you want to do, book covers or anything.
Oh,
Yeah,
I gotta
bro.
find the time first.
I know that's what I think won't have time, but make a little side money,
Yeah.
little side hustle on the
Side
side.
hustle.
Side hustles. I got side hustles on side hustles.
There you go.
That's how we do.
Yeah.
Oh
So
man. Mhm.
and then in book 2 is going to be about basically the game that I played with the students, and I kind of fleshed out their characters, and their history is gone, and life has changed. Everything's mutated. Oh, but the most important part I forgot to tell you was in the first chapter they found out they suspect the mutants came that back in the Ice Age, an alien spacecraft crashed in the Arctic region and was discovered in the early 70s.
Oh.
And one guy was an agent. He went out there and everything was frozen. So they tried to cut it apart, tried to take stuff back. Well, the acetylene torches were melting the ice and he was thirsty. So he took a drink of the ice, but unknowing it, that there was some alien DNA that got out and was in that ice, and he swallowed it. And this alien DNA, once it gets inside a living body, kind of takes over the DNA and passes on past traits of whatever it was on. So this DNA, alien DNA, has a habit of bouncing around.
Huh.
And so that's why people started getting powers. So then after he got it, and then he had to give blood to one guy on the battlefield one time. He worked for the CIA, and found out that he was shot in the Sea of China and fell into shark-infested waters. And about 10 years later, they're finding sharks with human hands on it. And then the government found out about mutants when a baby was born and sending out these bolts of electricity that killed everybody in the room. And so they said all mutants are going to have to be rounded up. Well, this agent, his name was Foster Fenton, he had a grandson that climbed the wall like a fly, and he didn't want his family to have anything to do with it. So he assassinated everybody that had knowledge of this. He's ordered 2 meetings for everybody to show up, blew both those rooms up, and he went out and assassinated the head of the CIA, who also knew about it. But before he did that, he put all his notes and everything inside a wall and closed it up. And so he was killed. Well, when this story is happening, they had a pipe break in the commissary, which is now the commissary at the CIA, and they found this little attaché case with a black book with all the notes in it. And it's very interesting. They started finding out about this alien DNA. So
That's really cool. And I'm really excited to find out what happens. That's really, really interesting. I'm not really big into like that series of sci-fi, but how you're explaining it makes it sound really cool.
Well, I know everybody else that read it said, I've had people read it and everybody says it's good, but then again, I don't know if they're yanking my chain or what, but we'll wait and see.
We'll see, man. But we're at that mark. So
Really quick.
Yes, please.
I had to Google the visual because I needed it in my life, and that was sharks with human hands. And you're welcome.
No. I'm not going to subject our audience to that. No. You should be ashamed of what you've done this day. Oh, that's funny. I like that. But all right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Please follow our links, and we have a Patreon, so go follow that. Keep tuned for when Dickie's book hits the stores near you.
Actually, keep tuned to our Sacred World because I will make the announcement there when it's out.
Heck yeah.
There we go. All right, guys. Don't forget to be kind to one another. Don't forget to love each other. We will see you on the next one. And if I recall correctly, which I need to look at my notes, but I believe Josh is up next for the initiative chair. So we'll be asking him a couple of questions. But all right, guys. With much love. Adios. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Peace
Bye.
out.
Bye.